Previously on Loser Talk, we reviewed Chameleon Twist for the Nintendo 64. And, well, that's pretty much it. You're caught up. Yay. Anyway, today we're going to take a look at its sequel. Yes, Chameleon Twist 2. This exists. This is real. Surprised? I remember walking into Blockbuster and renting Chameleon Twist. I guess that makes me old, but that's not the point of the story. What I'm getting at is, a few years later I came back and stumbled upon Chameleon Twist 2. And I literally did one of these. Like, I could not believe my eyes. And what's even more surprising is that the game is actually... it's good. Chameleon Twist 2 is not a complete overhaul, but rather a refinement. The basic gameplay is exactly the same as its predecessor, except the level design is vastly improved. And that makes all the difference. The problem with the first game was that it had a great idea and poor execution. This game maintains that same great idea, except this time it's actually fun. And unlike the first game, the pros greatly outweigh the cons. For starters, look at the main character. He actually looks like a chameleon. I can't believe it. They actually fixed it. The 10 people who played the original must have sent in angry letters saying, "Hey, Sunsoft, what the hell's up with the protagonist? Why is it called Chameleon Twist if there's no damn chameleon?" Well, good news everyone, Chameleon Twist 2 delivers. Look at him. Look at that, head frill. And he's green. And he has these big, chameleon lips. Oh, it's amazing. I'm so happy. But hey, that's just icing on the cake. The whole game is a joy to play. The first game felt kinda claustrophobic. With the exception of the jungle and the desert, every single level was confined to individual rooms. It felt kinda like a dungeon crawler. You know, like Legend of Zelda, but in a bad way. That's not the case in the sequel. Every level's big and open, and there's fresh air and sunlight. It's magical. But don't get me wrong, they're not sandbox-type environments like Bob-omb Battlefield in Mario 64. No, they're more akin to the Bowser levels. You know, like linear obstacle courses that still leave a little room for creative maneuvering. And most of those freedoms come from the refined gameplay engine. Davey still has all the same abilities. He can latch onto poles and spin around, he can pole vault, he can lick up enemies and shoot them back. But things are a little different this time. In the first Chameleon Twist game, you were kind of limited by these wooden posts. You had to use your tongue to latch onto them and pull yourself across gaps. So it was either that or spin. In this game, you still need the posts to spin, but if you want to pull yourself towards a target, you just have to find a wall. Yeah, Davey's tongue will latch onto literally anything. This is exciting because it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. Sure, it's a little game-breaking and can be abused severely, but that's half the fun. What really makes it work is that once Davey's fully retracted his tongue and he's wherever he wants to be, he can actually kick off the wall. Yeah, you still have a little jump left over. So there's a platforming segment that looks a little too daunting, you're not sure if you can do it. Doesn't matter. Try and think of another way. You have options now, and it's amazing. I also really like the new horizontal posts. They work much like the vertical ones where you can latch on and spin around, except this is a wide arcing motion you can use to propel yourself across gaps. These new and upgraded moves make Davey seem, on the whole, more acrobatic. This completely releases you from the confining rigidity of the first game. And on top of the tongue, you can even use this little umbrella to slow down your falls. It's almost like Davey is too good. And that kind of leads into one little problem I have with the game. Your life bar is big, really big, and when you fall off into a pit, you lose 1 unit. So, needless to say, you can afford to fall a lot. And I don't need to tell you, in most platformer games, when you fall, it's certain death. So since that's not the case in Chameleon Twist 2, the developers had to think of some way to respawn you. At first you might think, okay, just put him back on whatever platform he fell off of. That makes sense, right? But if it's moving, that kind of complicates things. So how about the last solid platform? I'm not sure if it's in the coding or if it's just a glitch, but if you jump far enough, the game assumes you jumped off a later platform. So if he died close to Area B, even though he jumped off from Area A, the game assumes he came from Area B and puts him there. So through learning these limits, you can skip ahead, or you can take wild leaps of faith and hope it works out. It does more often than you think. But that's really hardcore. Like, your average person doesn't care about that. You just want to beat the game. So, let's center the review more around that. Level design, as I said, is good. The graphics are much better. They're bright and colorful, and the texture work is slightly improved. Also, the environments are more interesting. You have circuses and like a Shogun temple. You can't go wrong with that. And the bosses are much better too. The giant robot and this frog guy. It still boils down to licking up smaller enemies and shooting them at bigger enemies, but hey, that's the game, right? So with the first game, I was kind of left in a bad spot. I enjoyed it for its quirky and unique charm, but it was, crap, so it's hard to say go out and buy. With this one, I have less reservations. It's a much better game, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I also got it cheap. If you can't get cheap, which you may not because it's a little more uncommon, there's a gray area. This game's no Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. But it's also no Glover or Tonic Trouble. It's kind of like a space station Silicon Valley. Does this scale make any sense? I'm super stoked that Davey actually looks like Chameleon this time. And, they got the tongue thing going on, but they're still missing one defining attribute. Yeah, he doesn't change colors. That's like something chameleons do. That's like one of their things. Oh well, maybe in Chameleon Twist 3. I can dream, can't I?